What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Progressive Gentleman podcast. As always, we're your hosts. I'm Dan,
I'm Matt.
and thank you for taking the time to nerd out about music with us. We're joined today by Jack the Elbow. What's up, guys?
Was
What's up? Hello.
It is
Mister.
awesome to have you guys here. We've been talking to you guys for a while now. We've had you on a couple previous episodes. Well, not you physically, but talked about you guys on a couple previous episodes and posts
Right.
and such. And for those kind of just discovering you, maybe just give them a little bit of a rundown what you guys are all about, and yeah, kind of introduce
Introduce
yourselves.
yourselves. Yeah.
Well, I am Caleb, and this is Madison,
Madison.
and that is
Taylor.
Taylor. And we're a
Hell
three-piece kind of prog rock band out of Alabama called Jack the Elbow. Crazy name, I know. As far as like sound goes, just off the top of my head, if you're trying to get an idea of what we sound like, to me, I think we kind of are mostly prog rock with some elements of progressive metal and maybe some elements of like post-hardcore in the guitars, somewhere in a trifecta of that.
You mentioned
Yeah.
the name. How about like the origin of that name, since it seems kind of not random, but like it's pretty unique. And I was
Right.
just curious kind of where that came from.
You want to take that one?
Yeah, pretty unique. So the original three, me, myself, Caleb, and our original drummer, Tucker, all three of us are martial artists. We've known each other for, Lord, 15, 20 years or so, and been training with each other for quite a long time. And so when we got to playing music with one another and got the band going and got ready to start a name, we had a long list of terrible, terrible, terrible names,
Really bad.
really bad names.
Really bad names.
And we chose Jack the Elbow. Jack the Elbow is a play on words to break somebody's elbow or to attack their elbow in a way, which
Nice.
it surely literally everybody thinks that it's an elbow whose name is Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had a mascot, that should 100% be
Yeah,
what it is. But
100%.
yeah,
100%. That is totally what the mind would be led to believe about the name. But yeah, just a martial arts
Just
joke.
jack it. You just break it.
Just
you know?
break
Do you-
just break somebody's elbow.
do you
Joke.
remember any of the names?
Sorry, say again.
I was gonna say, do you guys remember any of the names that didn't make the
Yes.
cut?
Oh my
But
God.
I think to me the worst one that we had for me was what Sol and Luna,
Sol
which
and
is
Luna
just
was really
sun
bad.
and moon. And I think that was just like the most. If you were making like the most, I'm so sorry if someone listens to this and like there's already bands that are Sol and Luna. Surely
You're like,
there
that's
are.
our band
You
name.
I'm
just
so
broke
sorry.
somebody's like
I'm
heart
so
right
sorry.
now.
Yeah, right. I know. Sol and Luna, if you're listening to this, my bad. But just the most like angsty 13-year-old band name. Like you take Spanish one, you're like Sol and Luna. And you like kind of have the hair.
Yeah. Very, very telenovela kind of vibes.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember some of the other bad ones. At that point in time, we were rehearsing over at our buddy Chris's house, and for a minute, he was playing keyboards with us also. And
cool.
he lives at that point in time, he lived in Bluff Park in Alabama, off of Shades Crest Road. So we had Shades Mountain Project.
Yeah,
I think
Shades
was one
Mountain
of them.
Project.
I think of all the bad names, that was probably the best bad name.
Yeah.
But then
I was gonna
Jack
say,
the
that's
Elbow
not bad.
Jack the Elbow just
Yeah.
blew that one
Yeah.
out of the water.
The Jack the Elbow got
I like it.
stricken initially, and
Oh Lord.
and we were
Really?
stuck with it. So it was like to in my mind, I was like, that's the name immediately when I saw it on the board. I was like, it's got to be Jack the Elbow. We got struck, and then we looked at all the rest of them. They were all terrible. And I came back and I was like, I have to unstrike Jack the Elbow. Like we've got it has to
Yeah.
be Jack the Elbow. So that's what we landed on.
So
I
there
love
was there was I remember now. There was one other one that I had my heart on, and I'm gonna let Caleb explain the origin of this. But I really had my heart set on Scandorfian Judanus. I was like, no, this has got this. It'll be so good.
Yeah. So Scandorfian Judanus. There was an era where I was like really into lucid dreaming and trying all that stuff kind of right after Inception came out. And there was this one night where I was dreaming and I dreamt that I was in a doctor's office and the doctor came in and he had like his chart and he was like, I'm so sorry. This is terrible news. You have Scandorfian Judanus. and the name was so crazy to me that it made me realize I was dreaming. So I woke up, I became lucid in the dream, flew around a little bit, and then woke up and immediately wrote it down. So Scandorf ingedanus became like a joke disease that I guess people have.
That's pretty awesome.
There needs to be like you guys need to write a song called Scandorfian.
We've threatened to do it, yeah.
Like something like that. Like that has to come back somehow.
Yeah, it really needs to happen.
Concept album about getting Scandorfian ingedanus and how to overcome it.
My heart was truly set on Scandorfian ingedanus, and if I had my way, we would have been called that. And at the time, Caleb and Tucker were both like, absolutely not.
Like, how is anyone going to search?
Nobody.
I mean, it is unique. I'll give you that. So
it is
Jack
unique,
Dillon, but how would anyone like know to search it? Scandorfian Judanus. Like, there's so many.
How do you spell Judanus?
So
exactly.
The original Judanus is JID, and then there's the A with the E thing that are connected. I don't even know what that's called, but I feel like you have to
very
have
tool like.
Yeah,
You have
exactly.
to have that. Yeah,
it's Judanus.
Luckily, they had more sense in that moment than I did.
I don't know if it's like if the Scandorfian part is like a type of Judanus.
Like there are other types of Judanus, and you just had the Scandorfian type.
So now that name lives on as my like handle on PlayStation and Discord. So it does.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
But I'm very glad that we chose Jack the Elbow over that.
Jack the Elbow is a cool name. I like it.
That's I don't know Scandorfian Judanus though, but no, that was good. That's good. That's good. All right, pivoting away from Scandorfian Judanus. I don't know how you follow that.
I'm waiting for the transition on this one.
I know there's not a real good one. So we can kind of sit on this side of the fence and kind of make comps all day long about what we think you guys sound like or what bands we comp you to. I know we heavily comped you to Coheed for a while there. I feel like you guys have kind of separated yourself a bit, especially with the new EP that you've been working on. But I think it makes more sense to have you describe in your own words or tell us kind of who are your biggest influences when it comes to writing music, playing music. So I want to hear from you guys. Like, who do you think, your comp to / who influences your playing?
Right. I think because we all like write our parts individually, like this is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a lot of projects, even including ones that I've been a part of in the past, there'll be like a primary person. Like I've been the primary person in garage rock bands, and like I'm telling the bassist what to do, and I'm telling the drummer what to do. Maybe even in the modern era, guitarists programming drums, and then the drummer's just kind of a live guy. Real common thing that happens. But in this project, it's definitely like each person is absolutely writing their parts. So, but that being said, I think it makes sense to just kind of go down the road, and we'll all tell you who influences individually. Yeah. So for me, I am guilty of being very influenced by Coheed and Cambria, which I see your good Apollo hanging in the back.
I was going to say, if you just look in the back, most of the stuff hanging on the wall is Coheed related. So there's nothing wrong with that. I am
very influenced by Claudio. I think his guitar work's amazing. I find myself particularly in verses and things like that, doing Claudio-esque guitar work, which I think also is kind of Iron Maiden-y guitar work. He kind of does a similar thing where he'll like with power chords skipping around. So Claudio is a big influence for me. Periphery is a big influence for me on guitar. P1 and P2 were hugely important for me when those came out. I really haven't kept up with Periphery a lot. Besides, I know like Marigold. After that,
you didn't have to go past P2. Honestly, that
I love P2. Perfect. It's my favorite.
It's my favorite Periphery record as well.
Hell yeah. But some of their like string skipping riffs that they do, that in particular. We're not playing 7 strings, but I do a lot of that where I'm like skipping around chords and finding a way to arpeggiate up from like low to high stuff instead of just doing rhythm with a lead on top. It's kind of bridging the gap. So that's a very Periphery move for me. So we got Coheed, Periphery, and I like Between the Buried and Me a lot. I don't know that it comes out a ton in my writing, but it's probably back there somewhere. I think in the new EP, there's a couple moments that are a little bit bitty down.
I have one. Yeah. I have one noted down too, but that's I can hear it. I can hear it.
Yeah. So that's probably my top 3 in recent years. Besides that, coming up on like all the normal Guitar Center riffs that you have to learn.
Of course.
As far as me, being I would say that I have different influences between the bass and the vocals. As far as bass is concerned, I am a huge Tool fan. I am the biggest Lateralis fanboy that you could ever find. I have a little flaming eye right here on my chest.
Nice.
In
Solid album.
in homage of that album. Very big into Yes. Love Chris Squire. Listened to a lot of that growing up. Honestly, probably Justin Chancellor and Chris Squire would probably be my two biggest influences as far as bass is concerned. Um, we're Me and Caleb are both very big Carnival fans. I don't really feel like that John Stockman's bass playing has come out very much in previous projects, but we're working on a new album right now where I'm focusing more on finger style as opposed to playing with a pick, and so I can hear his influence coming out a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's
even
on that project
some carnival-y guitar coming in the new.
a little bit of
So we're kind of
carnival
leaning into that influence a little more than we ever have.
Nice.
Huge fan of Les Claypool. I met him backstage at a concert in Birmingham in like 2018, and that's one of my pride and joy moments as a bassist.
Nice.
Yeah, although I would probably say the same thing that Caleb says about Biddy Bam. I don't really think that his influence comes out very much, especially since I primarily play with a pick, and he has such a unique finger style way of doing it. Probably the biggest thing that comes out in our music from his playing and Primus in particular is just that I want the bass to be louder than everything else in the bass. Vocally, when I first started getting into music and around high school, I listened to so much Ozzy Osbourne, and when we were working on this EP, one of our producers said that my vocals reminded him of Ozzy Osbourne. So maybe my Ozzy influence is coming out of my vocals. I don't really know if I could clearly point to another vocalist that I'm emulating. If anything, I've just been trying to learn how to sing my own voice. But yeah, so that would be kind of my vibe.
I would have never thought of the Aussie comp until you said it, and then I start thinking about it, and it's like that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had never really given it very much thought either. And then he said, and I was like, well, dang, I did used to listen to a lot of Ozzy. Maybe it's coming out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's me.
I would say like I'm relatively green, like just as a drummer. I've been I only picked up drum set for real in 2022.
Damn.
And
Oh wow.
I played a little bit when I was like a kid, but then I did drumline in high school and in college, so that kind of influences my playing a lot. But as far as like bands go, the person who I would say kind of showed me what was possible on drum set was Steven Sanchez of the deathcore band Angel Maker.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's kind of my musical background's a little bit different from theirs. It's an interesting time, but I found that I really have started to take a lot of influence from Periphery, and I listen to a lot of music just all the time, so I get a lot of influence. I do data entry for a CMS contractor, and I sit there and listen to albums just like throughout the day. So
You're building that catalog.
Yeah, I've built a very serious catalog. There's a band called Harvard, but it's spelled HRVRD. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of them.
No, I haven't.
Sure.
Small. I think they have like 30K monthly listeners on Spotify, but their album The Inevitable and I has really started to kind of find its way into my playing more recently.
Oh,
Ooh,
cool.
we're
I'll have to
definitely
check
gonna
that out.
that
Yeah.
It's
I always
a lot
love
of
when
great-
other band that we
Yeah.
haven't heard of pop up in interviews. It's cool.
And I was gonna say, like you mentioned, sort of deathcore. There's a lot of great drummers in deathcore, and probably the first time I ever paid attention to a drummer, uh, in music for some reason, because I was always focused sort of on guitar and just vocals, and just it just had to sound like chaos. Alex from Despised Icon, like that, like Ills of Modern Man record. The drums on that record was probably the first time I ever paid attention to how insane drums can be. So definitely big. Yeah, there's massive drummers in deathcore, so that's definitely cool. That and is that kind of your background? Would you say is like you listen to a lot of deathcore? And
I listen to a good amount of deathcore. I've started to like veer away from listening to heavier stuff recently,
Same.
and my favorite band right now is Balance and Composure.
Nice,
Oh my
good
god,
band.
dude, they're so good. I saw
Hell
them.
yeah,
I saw them live while they're on tour with Turnover, and
nice.
I've never seen an opener like kind of outdo a headliner like that. They were really good. But
That's awesome.
also Turnover. I like Turnover a lot. Their music is really good. Balance and Composure just really hits me in a way.
Nice.
It's
So you
interesting
guys are
how
oh
like
god.
I was just say it's interesting how like I mean there's obviously some overlap, like you kind of had periphery in there. It seemed like a common thread and stuff, but still like very differing sounds. And it's like kind of cool to see how like all the different sounds like blend together to, kind of make Jack the Elbow. It's cool.
Yeah, we definitely all come from our own thing. Like I'm also like uh super influenced as a kid by like the whole pop punk and emo movement. I was all over that stuff, like From Under the Cork Tree and
Yep.
Three Cheers, all those records. But I'm really like the only one that was super into all that. So like there's just we definitely are coming from different things into this thing that we do. And
It
that's
is
how we sound
interesting.
exactly like Coheed and Cambria.
So a little bit of this, a little bit of that equals Coheed and Cambria. I like it.
Yeah.
Truly, the formula truly is riffy guitars and high tenors. If you put a
Tenor
high
and
tenor
riffs.
over complex riffs, that's Coheed.
That's Coheed,
That's
yeah.
Coheed and Cambria,
It's fair.
and that's why I'm growing my hair back out.
I respect that. I respect
Ladio.
just lean into it. I like it.
Just
Yeah,
lean
yeah.
into it.
Little boy.
Oh my god.
That's awesome.
So being from Birmingham, what's the scene like there? I mean, like you guys are, prog rock adjacent, prog rock, whatever you want to, like,
Yeah.
is there a scene for that type of music in that area? Do you guys have to sort of travel to find, like, I'm just curious kind of what it's like down there.
Yeah.
We definitely have to travel. There's a very strong hardcore scene here in Birmingham.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fairly insular. It's very much you're either in it or you're not in it. So there's been a lot of times that we've felt like we're outside of the music scene, even though we've been in the Birmingham music scene for 2 years now, something
Yeah.
about like that. Which is totally fine. That's just it's just kind of
It's
the
just kinda the
reality
way it
the
is,
reality
yeah.
of way it is.
Yeah.
But we've definitely we've had a lot better success when we have traveled outside of Birmingham. It feels like that people enjoy it more, and we enjoy it more when the people that we're playing for enjoy it more.
Right. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. That makes sense. So Crush, your first record, seemed like that was kind of our first introduction to you guys. That's where we made the whole Coheed comp, all that fun stuff. But this new EP sort of seems like an evolution into you discovering your own sound. And I was curious, did you guys take a different approach to writing this EP? Was there intent there, or was it just sort of just a natural evolution of your sound?
Yeah. I think from my perspective, there was intent to push the guitars, and like we knew we were going to do this kind of concept EP of 4 songs after we wrote the first one, Val, which isn't the wildest thing on guitar, but does have a kind of chunky solo in it. For the rest of them, in my mind, I was like, we're going to push this music and make it more progressive and lean into like the sort of proggy end of it. And not necessarily try to escape the Coheed comparison, but just to continue to evolve and not get stuck into like a anytime, because I think what Madison said about like riffs plus tenor vocals, anytime we fall into like a pop punk pocket, it becomes just indistinguishable from Coheed and Cambria. And like that's the part where we're like, let's find like a way to, in my mind, in the guitar world at least, let's find a way to not fall too much into like the pop punk thing, because that influence is really what signals, on top of the riffiness and on top of the tenor vocals, that says, oh hey, by the way, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I mean,
I would agree with that. Yeah, but I think the biggest thing for me is just sort of like Caleb is saying. As far as the music is going, writing the most intricate music that I can write, that we can write as a group.
that still sounds good, and not like
that still
vomit.
sounds good. That's like really I guess treading that line of making it as progressive as we can make it, and still end up with a product that somebody wants to listen to.
Yeah.
And hopefully even a product that somebody who isn't inclined to progressive music would still be able to listen to and enjoy.
there is always that line, right? With progressive music, I feel like so much of it is accessible, and then there's some that isn't, because maybe the time signatures are crazy.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
can't like bob their head in
Yeah.
4 or whatever. Like, so to sort of make a collection of music, or just a piece of music, maybe even a song, that is both progressive and accessible is a pretty impressive feat. And I mean, I feel like a lot of the tracks on the EP have that, in my opinion. Like, I feel like they are, like, I showed my wife Crush. She listens to more like pop leaning stuff. She likes Coheed. She didn't outright say Coheed, by the way. I'm just gonna let you guys know.
She's thinking.
She might have thought it. She might have thought it.
Polite.
But but no, she dug the music too. And if she, can get into something that's progressive, that to me speaks to its accessibility. And I feel like there's probably a broader audience that could vibe with the music on the EP. And we kind of discussed a little bit about how it seems like you're discovering your sound. Do you feel like you're still going through that discovery process? Like, it's still ongoing? I feel like progressive music is always evolving.
Yeah.
But you guys mentioned briefly there that you're already writing another record. I'm curious, is that, discovery process still ongoing through the new stuff that you're writing?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
This is like, I joined the band after Intensives was written all the way. So it was like, here you go, play drums. But now it's a little bit more going to be a more collaborative process, because I'm in it from the inception. So that makes sense. Overall, like, there is going to be an element of discovery, because I'm in the picture now for the entire thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We're gonna see some Angel Maker influence in the next album.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just a straight up deathcore record.
Space album. Yeah, so on the subject of Coheed, we are writing a space opera, like 12 songs. Yeah.
Oh,
just
that's
really
It's a
leaning into
concept
it.
album set in space.
There's
It's
a
set on
suite of
Earth, but
songs
it's
at the
sci-fi.
end. There's a suite of songs at the end. It's called The Welling Wills, and it's real good.
Yes. The jacking elbow. But yeah, so and I've written guitars for, what do we have? Like, we have structure for like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 even.
Yeah, maybe 6.
Several.
Close to half.
A couple of those songs already, I think, from, again, talking in guitar land, have definitely like evolved for me, and are definitely doing something very new, from my perspective. One thing that I'm trying to do, and I think I'm hopefully succeeding at, is I'm trying to write like crazy prog in 4 minutes. So we've got like one song that goes like full Broadway, has these wild layers in the middle. It's going to be crazy. And it still has, in my mind, it still has like a memorable repetition in the chorus, because I love repetition. I think it's the thing that makes people want to hum your your music. But like finding a way to do that and then go into like a totally different through composition to the end of the song that's like super cinematic, and the whole thing's like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It's not 8 minutes, it's not 12 minutes. That's something that I'm trying to find a way to do. So that's one thing. Another thing that we're trying to play with, that I've been playing with a couple of our songs already, is tempo changes, and tempo changes and continuing a theme, not the Discord, continuing a theme inside our song "Keep Going," which is on the EP that we're talking about today. Which was that when we wrote it, the concept of time signatures was a little bit more of like what I would think of as like a porcupine tree or carnival approach, which is to say they don't matter, they don't exist, they're only there on the back end. Like we're going to change times however feels good, and then we can figure it out later. And so I think that's there's one song in particular I'm thinking of that I wrote. We got to figure out a way to turn that off. That I wrote Yes. So yeah, just exit out of that. Perfect. Sorry about that. So
you're good.
There's one song in particular that I wrote maybe a few weeks ago that we'll start working on soon. That is, the choruses just have like a combination of weird asymmetrical time signatures just butted up against each other. It kind of reminds me of, what's that Rush song off of Hemispheres, the second song? Is it called Consequences? No. Something. Anyway, they have that vibe. Circumstances. I knew there's something was circumcision. So anyway, yeah. So on that song, there's a very clear like disregard for time signatures in a conventional sense, and more of just a mashing together of things. That's something that I really like. It's a feature of Keep Going that I love, is that if you try to sit down and count it, the counting doesn't matter. It's really about like the feeling and conveying a feeling that's actually just a bunch of different time signatures crammed in on each other. So that's something that I think we're going to do a lot in this coming album, because it's, in my opinion, it's the best part of Keep Going, which is maybe the best song we've ever written.
When I was
learning, yeah, go ahead.
It was literally because they were like, "You need to play this for your audition."
Oh yeah.
And it was like, I have on my phone just like a note that says "Keep Going," and it's like 3 3 2 3 3 2 3 3
11 13
11 13.
And I sat there and I just looked at this and I was like, I'm gonna memorize all of these patterns.
That's amazing.
It was like, Jesus.
In one sense of the manner, it could be considered cruel to make you audition with Keep Going. But at the same point in time, you had to play Keep Going.
Yeah, it was the thing that sold us to. We were like, this is the guy.
You had to be able to play Keep Going.
Yeah.
And you crushed it.
You did crush it.
Kind of continuing on that track, because I do have some notes on that track, and figured might as well jump to that here since we're talking about it already.
Okay.
I think with all the time signature changes and stuff like that, the complexity sort of lends to sort of the theme of the song too, which seems like it's sort of like an internal struggle and just trying to be able to keep going through it. Is kind of what I inferred from sort of the lyrics. And then also on top of that, you have sort of your first, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like harsh vocal section, where I think at that point sort of, it's like, these emotions are sort of coming back, it's getting harder to deal with, whatever, which lends to sort of the theme of the song, which that's what I gathered. You can tell me if I'm wrong there, but also sort of focusing on the harsh vocal part of that. Is that something that you might lean into in the future as well? So you can tell me if I'm right in interpreting how sort of that vibe was supposed to be felt there vocally. And then also, is that something that you guys might lean into sort of in some of the new stuff you're writing?
Possibly. I could see us doing sort of a similar vibe as Keep Going in the future. So that those particular vocals are our producer, Jonathan D. Douglas.
Shout out to John.
Shout out to John. He provided the vocals for that part,
cool.
Which really really were there just because they needed to be there.
Yeah,
If that makes
the
sense.
guitar part is, it goes from this really, we call it the yes bridge, the first
Mhm.
part of that, the sort of clean part, because it's kind of like yes.
Yeah.
So after the yes bridge, it goes into like this really heavy, like with like panic chords and things. And so I was like, yeah, we have to have harsh vocals right there.
Makes
So
sense.
so we wrote them, and we were like, maybe we'll get a friend to do it, because neither one of us can really do harshes. I've never been able to do it, just straight up. I can't do it. But John can, so he came through and just basically recorded what we asked him to record on it, and it worked out.
Nice.
Which
Nice.
that's really the difficulty with leaning more into it into the
Yeah.
future is that
Right.
is that we really can't do it. Thematically it fits in that song. Keep Going is sort of the theme of that song is sort of like what you're saying, persevering against all odds. There's themes of that song of submitting yourself to a higher power, whatever that is for you. It also plays into a lot of like Native American vision quests. So that what we call the Yes Bridge is a very on the nose vision quest. And so the harsh vocals in that sense serve a function of you being on a vision quest and encountering some scary shit on that vision quest. It's it's really funny. I sent the EP to one of my sisters to listen to when we finally got our masters back, and she messaged me when she was starting to listen to it, and then 23 minutes later I get a message, oh my god, plot twist. So I think it just in Keep Going, I think it serves the function very well that we intended for it, and I think that it serves that function even greater in the context of the EP, because in the context of the EP you've got 20 more minutes of clean vocals in front of that part.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
just comes out of nowhere and smacks
Yeah,
you
it's
across
really
the face.
It really
it is
did come
really
out of nowhere.
surprising,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
But it
it's
works.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked very well, and John absolutely crushed the vocals. He also produced the album, all the mix, the master, engineered all the vocals, engineered all the drums, did incredible work. And he really just knocked that right out of the park.
And then our buddy, also that his roommate Alex,
Also his roommate Alex.
engineered guitar. So wanted to
Yes.
shout him out if we're shouting.
Yes.
But yeah, both
So
two super cool dudes.
Yeah, I guess talking a little bit more about that piece of it, I think everything else that you guys have done up to this point was self-produced. Is that correct?
That's right.
It was, yeah.
So what-
Crush was self-produced, yeah.
What were some of the like key differences sort of experiencing going through the whole process from start to finish by yourself versus like having, John and others sort
Yeah.
of be able to contribute in that massive way on this new EP?
Yeah, I think the self-production, the biggest part of it is the learning experience of production, which is a huge undertaking to try to learn that art and constantly. And we still dabble in it ourselves, doing like side projects, or, I mean, not necessarily side project. Like in Madison's case, he's also in another band that he's producing some stuff for them. But you learn like bit by bit, and the only way to learn and get better at it is to just do it poorly a lot. So Crush came out pretty good. I would say for a self-production, it's like for a garage production, it's really good. If we're talking inside the garage production world. But that was like the second and third time that we had recorded every one of those tracks. We recut them over and over and over because we learned a new thing, or we figured out, hey, this actually sounds terrible, or hey, like this EQ is bad, or hey, I just don't like these takes anymore. So doing it with another person, especially on the engineering end, you're seated in a chair and Alex, says go, and we get like a loop of the same riff several times, and we can look back at it and say, like, do you like this take, and then edit that. Spoiler alert, we're super edited, and I don't care. That's just like a reality of modern music. I don't know why like that offends some people, but Yeah, I edit guitars. Crush is self-produced, but it's edited like crazy too. I promise I can still play guitar, but I'm telling you, man, some people get real like weird about that. I don't know why. It's literally all modern music is edited to a grid. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say the people who feel that way, most of your favorite bands do the same shit.
They
Yeah,
so.
they just
all
don't
do it.
actually know how production works.
They just don't
Yeah,
exactly. They just don't know how actual productions work. That's just the truth of it. That being said, I forget what I was saying, but that being said, that's been said.
It's not
It's not edited.
It's heavily edited.
It's heavily edited.
I made that joke once. Like, my guitars are not edited; they're heavily edited. So
more on the production of Crush. Aside from learning how to produce an album, which we had absolutely we had no clue how to produce an album going into that album. We also had some pretty major just life difficulties that really made that what should have been a 1.5 2-year album turn into like a 5 or 6 year album.
yeah.
We started Jack the Elbow in 2018. Was it 2018 or maybe 19?
I think it depends on which one. We all played together in a basement one time in 2018. I don't think we called it Jack the Elbow until
I think it was more like 19. We got a real good head of steam. Most of Crush was written in 2019. We got a real good head of steam, and we're feeling real good about ourselves. COVID happened, which affected us personally, not anybody else. It only affected us. Just us.
I think I saw that on the news. It was like COVID-19
Yeah, it was a big
really
deal,
impacting Jack
and
the Elbow. I did see
It was a
that.
big deal for Jack the Elbow.
It was a really big. It really sucked for everybody. It sucked for the entire world. But particularly for me. No. So we lost a good like 8 or 9 months of 2020, because we lost our rehearsal space in that point in time. And so in the middle of 2020, me and my fiance at the time, we bought this house. And the room that we're in right now is the studio that we recorded Crush in. So I came in here to the basement and spent 3 months building this room to house our rehearsals and also to record Crush. And I got it built. And about 3 weeks after I got it built and we get all moved in and settled in, my basement floods.
Oh no!
With all the gear in here.
With all the gear in here.
Oh no!
And then it proceeded to flood like another 7 times over the course of the next 8 or 9 months or so. Terrible. The last time it flooded, I had like a good like 1.5 inches of water in my entire basement. Which is especially embarrassing for me because I'm in construction. I have like a very long construction background professionally, and I was so laser focused on Jack the Elbow and us having a home that I completely disregarded every blatantly obvious red flag that my basement has a water issue. So we dealt with that one for a long time. I ended up having to tear this entire wall behind us down so that I could get a waterproofing company to come in and waterproof my basement and then build all of this back. And then about the time that we got that taken care of, me and my wife got separated and we ended up getting divorced. So that was another 6 months of dealing with all that. And all the headache that comes with actually getting the house so that we keep the studio and keep our rehearsal space and our ability to produce this album. So what should have been like truly like a 1.5 2-year album just kept getting delayed until finally, Lord, it was like, well, Crush came out last January. So that was January of 24. I don't think we really got started recording in earnest until probably like December of 22.
Yeah.
I know we put out off and on, we put out I think in December of 22. But even that song, we ended up
redid,
recording it a second or third time for the actual album. So that's a very long-winded way of answering your question. The biggest difference for me about recording with somebody else is that we go to Atlanta, I track my vocals, and then I come home.
Yeah.
And I don't worry about it anymore.
Rebuild the basement and call a waterproofing guy.
I don't have to deal with any of that.
Right.
I have we track, and then my faith is in our producer, and he handles all of that and does an amazing job.
For sure.
Just taking all of that headache out of the equation makes making music so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I think another aspect of that is because we did do the self-production thing, because we both dabble in production and try to learn about that art, when we go work with John, I think even talking to him, he's echoed this as well. Like we have an understanding of the baseline way that it should be, and it's very easy for us to communicate to him what it is that we want here or there. Like, whereas sometimes you get someone in the studio and you're recording them and they don't have any of that background. They just are like, oh, could you make it more like, like skronkly or something?
Yeah, you can speak his language, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's
sense.
been very beneficial for us, and he's just the homie too. He's a cool guy. Shout out to him.
That's awesome. I guess then it benefited you, I guess, going through all that headache, because now I feel like it probably makes things a lot easier moving forward. Even though working with a producer, you can kind of give him meaningful input into the, you can still be a part of the process too, which is
for sure.
And you can also like learn from watching them. Like, I think if you went in with no production background and tried to watch what they were doing,
just be not,
you would have no idea what's going on, right? Exactly. But having some production background, when I go in and I watch him do it, like I'll like be on the couch and he's editing something, he'll do something that blows my mind, and I'll like jump over and be like, hey, what'd you just do? Like, oh yeah, I just did this. And I'm like, wow, I've been doing the same thing in 85,000 steps for the last decade. And you've just blown my mind. So like there's little things like that we've been able to pick up too. Yeah.
So then awesome. Do you guys think you'll ever go back and do it on your own? Like once you feel like, comfortable and stuff, and like as you've learned things like through watching and stuff, do you think you'd ever revisit that? Or do you think like because you're able to just kind of focus on the music that you'll kind of just probably just keep this path of like, we're not doing the production ourselves anymore, we want to focus on writing?
Possibly for like what's the word?
Low stakes, maybe.
Low stakes, yeah. Possibly for like low stakes.
For a cover, maybe. We've threatened to put out a cover.
Yeah,
we've thought about doing that.
We threatened to put out a cover, so something like that we would probably do. For this album, we are planning to, which we did for Intensives also. We are planning to. Well, I'm lying because we did produce the guitars in Atlanta. But we are planning to track all the bass and guitars for this new album ourselves.
I think vocals as well. Yeah.
Probably going to track
equipment.
If we can get like some nice outboard equipment, probably going to track the vocals ourselves. And then go to John for tracking all the drums and the mix and master, because the drums is really God, that is such a.
It's a huge nightmare.
It is such a nightmare.
Is so good.
He is so good at
so incredible
at a task that is such a pain to learn. And really this room that we're in, it's great for so many things, and we did make it work for Crush, but I don't really think it's a very ideal drum room for that aspect of it.
It's kind of a long rectangle. Like we're on this back wall, and there's only maybe, what is that, 9 feet?
About 10 feet, yeah.
10 feet between this back wall and that wall. So the drums are kind of in a pocket. So you get a lot of, even though there's a lot of treatment in here, it's just hard to get around like low frequency standing wave kind of stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, yeah, it served its purpose, and you've kind of you have it in your back pocket if you ever absolutely need it. But it sounds like you guys are kind of on to maybe bigger and better things with a producer with John.
Yeah.
So uh getting back to the music a little bit, I wanted to talk about another one of my favorite tracks off the EP called Smoke and Mirrors. Specifically, there's a section about 3.5 minutes or so in where there's like a switch up to this like ambient section that's real cool, and then it leads into this like heavier bridge-ish section. Really reminded me of like Act 3 era, like Deer Hunter almost, and maybe even a little bit of like Coma Ecliptic era BT Bam.
Yeah.
I was just curious, kind of, one, what sort of inspired that? Did that sort of emerge naturally during the writing process? Was that something that you like worked in? And two, like the comps that I made there, like the Deer Hunter, Between the Buried and Me. I know you talked about there's some BT Bam that might have leaked in. Is that one of the sections that maybe you were thinking about there?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. That like their way of kind of doing the jazzy switch up things, for sure. The originally when we had the guitar for that song, it was gonna go kind of straight from there. If I'm not mistaken, it was originally gonna go straight from there into like this the next part, which is like the dissonant, diminished opening riff.
Yep.
Right. And Madison was like, "Hey, we need to extend that part." And then when I extended the guitar, I was like, "Well, now something feels kind of off. I don't know what it is, but it feels like it's just the clean part dies really fast, and now suddenly we're doing something heavy. I don't know. It just felt off." So I was like, "Well, I'm going to revisit it." So I did, and there's a running, like Madison alluded to. There's some running like themes of, I would say, almost new agey, Native American spirituality throughout the whole 4 songs. They're all themed with that. And one such thing that comes up in that particular section is the idea of meditating in front of a mirror. And this has also been documented scientifically as well, but if you stare into a mirror, into your own eyes long enough, you'll get what science calls the strange face in the mirror effect, which is where like your face will seem to morph into something like you don't recognize it. And if you do it really long, you'll see some really strange stuff. I mean, really just mind-blowing to me stuff. So that whole section, yeah, was that?
I said I'm definitely doing this later.
Yeah,
immediately following this episode.
I'm saying if you do it, like do it early in the morning, because you get freaked out, it'll be hard to sleep. But yeah, definitely have to have the patience to sit for a long time. And if you've ever done any meditation, if you can put yourself in that state and just stare either into your eyes or off to the side of your shoulder and kind of catch your face in the periphery, you'll get some weird stuff. But that whole section is I don't do this a lot, but I have here and there. It is a musical conceptual piece trying to mimic the idea of faces changing on your face in the mirror. So there's kind of like a circusy vibe to it, and the music gets real strange and is changing to like these really creepy jazzy things in the tapping part. And that's also the only section I've ever written the bass line for in Jack the Elbow. I came back in under it and I was like, I gotta find a way. If you notice in the music, the first half of it, the bass does one thing, but in the second half, it does something else. So like the root note changes on some of those chords. And so it echoes this idea that context is a very important piece of that puzzle of like the whole face dancing meditation, and like, what are you and what is the context that you're presenting yourself to the world or whatever. Yeah.
So. This is some of the most prog shit I've ever heard. I love it.
Yeah, it's so prog, man. It's so prog. That's why we have to write the space album next.
I can't wait for the space album. I'm stoked, wait for the space album.
Yeah. That was one part. Yeah, like you say, that's the only bass line that Caleb has ever written for Jack the Elbow, and I was very glad that he did, because originally when he sent that over to me, it was just the guitars.
Like, what are you?
I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? But that did turn out. That is I think definitely a highlight of the EP. That's one section of the EP for that part that I am playing with fingerstyle on the studio recording. To kind of lend that changing nature thematically, so to speak. It turned out very well.
Yeah, it's honestly probably my favorite track on the EP. And that's definitely one of, if not my favorite, like moment sort of musically from the EP. So definitely and hearing sort of the context of it just makes my mind blow a little bit more.
Yeah, it makes it even cooler.
Too. It honestly makes me want to go listen to it again, thinking I'm going to. So, but
next time you listen to it, there's a keyboard in it that is playing the worst chords known to man. And it works so well in the context, but just these super awful, like inverted, diminished chords are happening on this like really circusy Wurlitzer in the background.
Which honestly, like the circusy, like sort of like dissonant, like that bridge section, or if that's even the whatever, like that heavier sort of piece out of the ambient part. Yeah. I think that's what sort of made me trigger like Between the Buried and Me in that moment, because they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's that's definitely one of my favorite parts of the whole record. What individually, like, or I guess collectively, maybe it's the same, which track on this new EP is sort of like, what are you most proud of? What's your favorite song that you've written on this EP, or even from your collected, discography? But
all right, Taylor, you have to answer this one since you've been so quiet. You have to start. You go first.
Yeah.
Thanks
what's
for
your
calling
favorite?
me out. Asshole.
The rest of this episode, we're just going to direct all of our questions to you, Taylor.
Just Taylor.
I would say my favorite moment that I wrote was the second verse of Threshold.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is such a wild groove.
It's so fun because
it's a great song.
If you pay like really close attention throughout that song, I'm keeping a quarter note on the hi-hat on my left foot, so it turns around every other measure. So it's
that's
like,
sick.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, if you pay really close attention, you can hear the chicks on the left foot. And I don't know, my brain just did it. And then like I'd say as far as like the song goes, I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for everybody that Keep Going is the favorite.
Yeah, Keep Going is well liked.
It would be it. Keep Going would be my favorite of the EP as far as the songwriting goes. Caleb wrote Vow and Smoke and Mirrors, and then I wrote Threshold and Keep Going. Lyrically, the music.
Yeah,
I think musically, actually. Well, musically, me and Caleb sat down and we wrote the music for Threshold together. But then aside for that, I think all three of the other tracks were originally from Caleb's guitars. But yeah, I think Keep Going would definitely be for me. Keep Going would definitely be for me because I'm about to get the face of the album art on my forearm.
Nice.
As soon as the tattoo artist messages me back on Instagram, and I can book the appointment.
I think I would have to echo. Keep Going overall has some of the best moments. It also has some of my favorite, like the tapping part in the pre-chorus is just a lot of fun. That is really nice. And there's also a riff. The riff after the harsh vocals in Keep Going is, I think, one of my favorite riffs that I've ever written for any band. It's just super, super dope. As far as songs that, like, because I wrote the whole thing, like I wrote the lyrics and everything, I think Smoke and Mirrors is probably the best song I've ever written where like I actually wrote the lyrics and melody and the guitar and all that stuff. Yeah. So I like it as well. I also like the mix up thing. It's something we did on Crush and Phoenix, and we did it with Smoke and Mirrors on this one. I think it's probably something we'll do once, maybe twice on the new one since it's a 12-song album, but where like the vocalist changes and I sing and we go back and forth. So
yeah. I would agree with that. Now that the EP is all out, I really do love Vow also.
Vow is great. Yeah.
I also really love Threshold.
New Vow will be out.
New Vow will
be
out
with this release. Though.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
That is true. Yeah. That is true. It's tomorrow as we record this, but likely yesterday as this drops. So
Friday.
The EP Intensives is currently out if you're listening to this right now. So definitely go listen to that as, Well, after you're done listening to this, of course.
Yeah,
But,
right.
but yeah, I mean, it's fantastic from start to finish. The solo section on Val, you mentioned that earlier. That's also a standout thing now that we're talking about Val. Uh, Keep Going seems like maybe it might be the most challenging to play live. Have you played
Oh,
it
dear
live
God.
yet? And
Yeah,
We have.
how am I right in assuming that might be the most
Yes.
challenging?
You were so
Well,
right.
yes, yeah.
Right.
It is very challenging. Smoke and Mirrors is very challenging for me for dumb reasons. It's because the guitar part, which is very simple in the verses, the dun dun is like syncopated with the vocals, and I sing the verses, and
Oh,
that is really
yeah.
hard. Like that's when I have to invoke the Claudio brain, to try to like
Got to
figure out how
kick
to
that
do that.
into gear, of course.
Yeah, I need to grow the hair out. That would probably do it. I always joke that that's his secret.
Honestly,
but yeah,
that is one of the most impressive things about him is like his
Oh, it's
ability to
crazy.
play and
Yeah.
still sing. Like,
right.
it's wild.
Yeah, and you'll watch them. I've seen Coheed probably 15 times actually, and I know it's shocking. And when they play, there will be like this part, especially the first couple times you see him. There'll be this part that you've always known as like really cool and intricate, and in your brain when you're listening to it, you're like, oh, Travis is playing that, and Claudio's just going. Dee-dee. But then live, it's like actually no, completely wrong. Travis is over there going. Dee-dee, and Claudio is singing while going like.
It's pretty
It's
insane.
absolutely wild.
Yeah, one of the best live bands out there for sure.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good.
For sure.
So I guess on the sort of the concert part of it, because now we're talking about sort of playing live stuff like that, bands we've seen live. This is a 2-part question. One, what's your favorite show that you've ever played? So do you have like a sort of standout moment playing live? And then the second question is going to be, who's the best band you've ever seen live?
What's the best show we've ever played?
That's a good question.
Well, we just did our own EP release show like
That's
2 or
fun.
3 weeks ago. That was a really fun show.
Nice.
That was a really fun show. One, it was at a great venue here in Birmingham, Trim Tab, which is not True Story, Trim Tab, and I get those
mixed
two
up, yeah.
confused.
We've
so
tagged the
often.
wrong. There's been like 3 times when we've tagged the wrong one, and then they'll message us and be like, "Hey, you don't have a show here tomorrow. What are you talking about?" I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I have a this is a tangential note, but I just have a big problem if two things have a similar name, they're the exact same thing. Me and Caleb joke about this all the time. Like for the longest time, I had in my mind that Periphery and Polyphia were like the exact same
Had the
band.
same sound.
They're the exact same sound. There's
I
no
mean, if you're
difference
gonna like make
at all.
if you're gonna make the conflate two, like those are probably not two bad ones to
Yeah.
mix together.
not
Sure,
too bad ones to conflate together, but definitely a different sound, different sound than than they were in my head.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of difficulty with that. But that was a really fun show. It was a really fun show. It was our show, and we're relatively young as a band. I guess we're getting a little older now, because we've been playing live for about 2 years now. But I guess that's really the only show that we've played that has been our show.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun one.
We had one show last Halloween up in a
Oh yeah, for sure.
up in a there's a small city north of Birmingham by like 45 minutes or so, called Coleman, and man, it was just a lot of fun to play. It was just like a small kind of DIY thing that a band from up there called Hassel and One, shout out to them, put on. And so we went up there and played dressed as hippies actually, It worked out because I'd completely messed up the Val guitar solo entirely, like the worst I've ever done it. But thankfully, I was wearing like a long-haired wig and a hippie
So
costume.
it just
so it was
worked.
like,
It all worked out.
I mean, it was dreadfully bad. We were laughing on stage, but it worked out. Anyway, all those kids that were there, I say kids, there was a mixed crowd, but there were some younger kids there.
It was primarily younger kids.
All the people there were so much more into the music than anything we've ever gotten from playing around town. But again, like we said earlier, around town is a pretty core dominated scene. And a lot of times, even around town, if you play places to a more corey crowd, they're kind of waiting for something heavier to come, which is understandable, but you're kind of not really the point, if that makes sense. But out there it was a very different vibe.
So what you're telling me is similar to Coheed and Cambria. You guys are coming up in a very hardcore dominated scene.
Yeah.
And having to
for
stand alone.
sure.
Yeah,
Sort
that's
of
right.
find a way to stand out. So basically, same origin story. I got
He's
you.
actually Puerto Rican.
Jeez.
I'm just kidding.
They're just-
But he is about to get a Jack the Elbow tattoo, and Coheed do
I
all
am
have
about to get a
Coheed
Jack the
tattoos.
Elbow
So
tattoo.
yeah, we're following in their
Yeah.
footsteps.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You guys
No,
gonna
I'm just-
you're gonna make your own like Keywork logo to
Yeah.
Basically, we're at this point in time.
Just invert the
There's-
triangles and the circles.
invert the
Like it'll be a
triangles.
circle in the middle with triangle.
It has gotten a little bit better. I do think that we're getting the Coheed comparison a
Less,
little
yeah.
less these days.
We would get it every time we played
We would get
everywhere.
it every single
But,
show that we
Really?
ever
You know,
played.
that was that we're playing mostly just Crush stuff too,
We're playing mostly just Crush stuff.
and it does have that vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a song on Crush that, like, there's a song called Teenage Progmo. That is a joke about Coheed and Cambria. Like the Progmo part, it was a working title. We knew that we were going to write like teenage rom-com lyrics for that song, which we did. And I knew that I wanted to write a Coheed song. So I like put the word progressive and emo together to make
I
Progmo.
like it.
And then later people asked us about like, oh, I didn't know you guys were Mormon. You guys like progressive Mormonism. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Apparently Progmo is a thing and it means progressive Mormonism, but we didn't know that.
I've never heard that. That's
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
you
Jeez.
learn something new every day.
Yep. We didn't know.
We
We,
had never
we
heard
knew
of it
after
either.
like the third guy asked us about it. And no, actually, Claude's wife eventually asked us about it at a several people had asked us about it. And then she brought it up at a bar. We were hanging out and she was like, so tell me about this. And we were talking and she's like, yeah, it's progressive Mormonism. I was like, I had no idea, man. I was just trying to make a Coheed joke. Yeah.
You have to go back and retcon the lyrics to make it fit
Yeah,
for the
right,
progressive
right.
Mormonism.
Right. Something about tablets or something.
And to be fair, I mean, the Coheed comparison, I understand, following you around and trying to sort of distinguish yourself. And I think you have for sure with this EP. But there's worse bands to be compared to.
Oh yeah. We
That's
like the
definitely true.
joke of it, like
For
it's
sure.
kind of like
For
a
sure.
fun joke that like we hate it, but like we're also fine with it,
And
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
Lord, yes. We just got compared to Black Sabbath like
Taylor's
today.
friend.
really,
Taylor's
My
girlfriend's friend.
girlfriend's friend was like, yeah, they sound kind of like Black Sabbath.
it's that Aussie comp. That
Maybe that's
Aussie
the
comp
Aussie,
coming
yeah,
back.
maybe that's what it is.
Oh my God! Speaking of bad comparisons, because I do think that's
Disturbed.
that's a little bit of a bad comparison. We did we did an LCY Uncut, which is a one-shot music video from a local venue here in town for our song Threshold, and some guy commented on that and said that we sounded like Disturbed.
Yeah.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
It
there's
sounded
There's
like
zero part of
Disturbed.
this sounds like this. There's not a single part of it.
Not even. I didn't go ooh ah, not even one time
Yeah.
in Threshold. So I don't
Maybe
know what
that's
that guy was
maybe
on.
that's the sound for the next album. We got to throw
Maybe
a,
so.
maybe so.
I feel like that's similar to how people who don't listen to heavy music, anything heavy, they're like, oh, like Slipknot.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like it's just throw out whatever heavy band
Yeah.
exists.
Which
yeah, I
could
get
be,
that a
which,
lot too. With the like, oh, Metallica. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah. I do kind of wonder a lot of times if the Coheed comparison is that's just the only band in the same realm that you're aware of.
Yeah, you can
A
definitely
little
make
bit.
like a playlist of bands that are kind of progressive-y, especially the post-hardcore ones that are just they all sound like Coheed too. I mean, there's Thank You Scientist, that's just Coheed with saxophone.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those bands. Hail the Sun is to me very
Yeah.
Coheed.
Very Coheed like for sure.
Bunch of them.
And I
Yeah,
like all of
there's
them.
definitely a lot that and I was gonna say, and they're all pretty good, so there's nothing wrong with that.
They're all very good.
But Jack the Elbow, great band too. And
Thank you.
yeah, no, I think there's, to be sort of mentioned in that same vein is definitely cool. And honestly, recent listens and also the new EP, I've been getting a lot of Deer Hunter as well, which I don't know if you guys are fans, but I've gotten a little bit of.
I've only listened through their albums one time. I went on a Deer Hunter spree because they were opening for another band doing an album tour in 2016 in Atlanta for Good Apollo. And so anyway, they're opening for that band who shall remain nameless. And so I listened to it and I was like, hell yeah, this is pretty cool. So I listened through all at the time, but then I never really it wasn't that it was something that didn't grasp me. It was just one of those where you kind of forget and you don't go back and listen. And I need to because I'm sure I would really like them. But yeah.
But yeah,
specifically it was Coheed and Cambria.
Act 3. Yeah, we'll throw the name out there one more time. But yeah, Act 3, songs like Mustard Gas and stuff like that. Just a slightly heavier, angstier Deer Hunter is kind of what I got a decent amount from some of the stuff going back and listening through.
It's funny because we were talking before the episode and we both agreed on the Deer Hunter thing, but then it sounds like it's very much not something that's baked into your guys' music listening. So really. It's funny that was sort of a happenstance thing that we both are oh yeah, I got some Deer Hunter vibes from that.
But no, very much it's your own sound. It's just sometimes we just try to have fun with it and try to find what does this, So that's kind of one of the things that sort of popped up. One other thing. Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Anatomy of album for Jack the Elbow. We try to we try to
piece together, find the special sauce, the ingredients.
Favorite concert you've seen?
Oh yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm sorry. I would take it down, but it took a lot to put all that shit back up. So
don't blame you.
No, I'd say you got the Anatomy of album on the over your shoulder there.
Yeah. Yeah. Favorite show that you've seen, favorite band you've seen live, since that was part of that first question. Might as well wrap that up there. Do you guys have a favorite live band or favorite show that you've ever been to?
I do, but I'm gonna let them say first.
I'd say my favorite that I've seen live is Vane.fm. I don't know if y'all they're a heavy band, but they're more like high vocals and kind of not proggy, more mathy. They can get a little mathy at times. They don't play together anymore, but I saw them when they opened for City Morgue before we found out that Zillikami and Sauce Mule are pedophiles.
Way too many of those in the scene, man. Way too many of those. We need to purge all of that shit.
Well, I went to see City Morgue, and then I was like, I see a China symbol on that stage. This is about to be something that I'm not prepared for. I was like, damn, those guys are good.
Nice. I'm definitely going to have to check them out.
I'm taking notes too. I can
I know.
Homework for later.
It's me.
It's you.
Yeah, I wish I had something that I could say besides Tool.
You can say Tool.
That's okay.
Fine.
You can say Tool.
But
that's not a bad answer.
I've seen them. How many times have I seen them? I think only three or four. I saw them a few times in Pensacola. I saw them one time in Pensacola with Primus. That was a very good show.
Nice.
Primus would be my second answer. I saw Primus at the BJCC in 2018. That was really good. Saw Tool at the BJCC in 2018. That's was
our arena in Birmingham.
That's our big arena in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, okay.
If you're not aware. That was a really great show. That was the show that they announced the release date for Fear Inoculum at. So that was very
sweet.
special.
That's a solid album too.
I just remembered I have a different answer. Buckethead at Iron City here in Birmingham. That was an incredible show. First of all, oh my God, what a guitarist. How can any mortal man do the things that man can? Well, I guess the answer is that he's not a man. He's like a robot chicken or something.
Yeah, I think
raised by chickens. I'm not really 100% sure, but if I can take a moment to like step away.
No, you cannot. Wow, you just ruined the show. Show's over. Oh, I forgot about this.
The show has been ruined. Buckethead gave me this girly Vampirina collectible figure at Iron City in like 2019. And I don't know what it's from, but he had like a giant bag of toys that in the middle of his set he just starts passing toys out to people. And so I've always kept this little vampire figure. Whoever can zoom into that, do your little zoom magic. So now it just lives in the studio, and I've always kept it. So that's a very
that's cool.
Amazing.
I like that.
I'll start with a runner-up concert in band. In when was it? I guess, gosh, it makes me feel old. I guess 2014. I got to see it was Tesseract with Scale the Summit and some local opener in Atlanta, and it was Altered State Tesseract. So like that's my favorite Tesseract. That's my favorite vocalist for Tesseract. I know that like Tesseract purist. How do you say the word? I don't know. They would probably not like that take because a lot of people are not a fan.
That is not only the best Tesseract record, that might be like the best record.
Yeah, it's like a top 5 record. I mean, it's like one of.
I love that album.
It's
so
a
much.
Top modern progressive record.
Oh yeah,
1,000%. It's so good.
Yeah,
even though
100%. Agreed.
Damn their fans. Like a lot of them are pretty against that guy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think he was great. That was a great show. They were all sick, and it was still great. And their bassist, which I don't remember his name, he just looked like the most British person I've ever seen in my life. You said it, like he had like a black. Yeah, it's crazy. His chin. There's something British about his chin and his nose.
And he had British about his chin.
He had on a black button up. But it wasn't. But it was buttoned at like the third button down, just open, and
you
just
got
chest
the deep
hair.
V going.
Yeah, like he was just deep V chest hair, kind of long black hair, but in like a British sense.
It was British, long, but it was British long.
He was really British, dude. But that was a great show. And then so like my favorite band ever and favorite concert would have. I mean, my favorite band that I've seen live is Coheed and Cambria. And as far as which time I've seen them, I've loved the Good Apollo times that I've seen them. I've gotten to see it through twice. That's probably my favorite album of theirs. And then there was another time where I saw them in a small venue in Mobile, Alabama. It's the smallest venue I've ever seen them in, and the sound was also amazing. And it was like anywhere you stood, they were not far away from you at all. And that was really stellar. That's probably the best time I've ever seen them. It wasn't one of the Good Apollo times, but it was just a good time. They also played Evagria on that one, and that's a rare. If you're a Coheed fan, you know that they are pretty sparse and sparing with Afterman, which I think as a collective double album is one of their best pieces of music, but they just don't play it live very much. I don't know why. I'm looking forward to the tour for the Aftermen.
The Afterman Never Ender, whenever
it's got to be coming up. Yeah. It would have to
happen.
be like, I mean, I think it's already due because they do it like every 5 or 10 years or so. So
Yeah,
last
originally
year,
I think it was on like a every 10-year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So that will probably be my favorite concert if the sound is good. It drives
I
me wild
remember
when the sound is not good.
the tour when they released the Afterman double record was with Between the Buried and Me and Russian Circles, and that show was nuts.
Oh, that rocks.
That's
Yeah,
really cool.
that show was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I bet.
Awesome. That was I kind of figured someone was going to throw Coheed out there, but I was just curious.
I am like I'm the
You're the resident
Coheeder.
Coheed guy.
Yeah, I when I started getting into like a lot of proggy stuff, which I mean they're definitely are proggy. They're not like I mean, they're not like the proggiest of
Right.
proggers.
Yeah. They
almost
lean
said it differently.
prog sometimes.
Yes, they're not like the proggiest, but they are proggy. And when I got into like that style of music more, I got super into them. I had like heard Good Apollo in high school back during the whole pop punk emo phase and all that stuff, but I had never really like sunk into them super hard until Afterman Ascension came out, and it blew my mind. And then Descension, like the production goes way up from Ascension, so it's like that just blows your mind even more. Which I don't know how that happened. I guess they did it at 2 different studios, but it's just that double record blew my mind. So then, because we all train together at a dojo, well, I say we all, me and Madison and our original drummer Tucker and several other friends, I started just like proselytizing Coheed and like forcing it on everybody, and I got like all of them into them as well. So, but yeah, so I kind of was their source of Coheed. So I'm the one who's going to be going to a bunch of shows and citing them, and all, of course, it's my fault.
It's his fault.
It's my fault.
We know who to blame. We know who to blame now.
To be fair, if he was a baritone,
Yeah,
he's the one who's got to have the high voice over here.
I am the guy who has
There's collective blame.
high
Yeah,
voice. That
yeah.
is true.
There's fault.
I share a little bit of blame. Yeah, I share a little bit of blame. That's
There's
true.
blame to go around.
That's fair. That's fair.
So you guys mentioned you have a show coming up on, I guess, Saturday, which might be the day that this drops. So maybe I'll say the
Yeah.
word today.
Yeah.
Do you want to pitch that a little bit? And do you have any other shows on the horizon that you want to maybe like shout out?
Yeah, we have. So if you're listening to this and you are in Birmingham, Alabama,
There's a chance. There's a chance.
Down. There's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance. Come on down to True Story. Now we're playing a set with some friends in a band called Speakeasy, and then there's some guys out of Nashville called Sound and Shape that have been around for several years. That you'd probably like them. They kind of steer clear of the term prog, but they do have riffy-ish stuff. I would call it kind of indie that has proggy riffs in it. So they're coming down and playing with us at a small venue called True Story. It's a great venue, a lot of fun there. And then another show that we have coming up later. The only other thing on the books is a show in Montgomery, which is another place in Alabama, with a band that Taylor is in called Withering Anguish.
With my deathcore band.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Nice. So you're playing both double duty?
Yeah, they were booking it, and they were like, y'all want, does Jack the Elbow want to play it? And I was like, really? Jack the Elbow to play it? And they're like, sure, why not? I was like, sure, I'll ask them. And they were like, yeah, it's not Birmingham.
Yeah, if it's not Birmingham, we say yes. Yeah. No offense to Birmingham. We've played you 40 times.
I'm excited to see Withering Anguish so that I can see Taylor go.
Some blast beats going.
That music's fun.
I'm excited to see it.
I would say it's it's like kind of groovy deathcore. It's fun.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out too.
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Nothing out yet. We're like still in the early phases. We're kind of taking.
Oh, okay.
But we have stuff being tracked. We just have to get some vocals on some stuff, and I just programmed the drums for it because we don't have John money.
John money.
Yeah. John Money is not. That is a nice feature of working with him too. Is like in an era of in an era of programmed drums, and I mean, still, like, there's always going to be like shell samples, even that he used. Obviously, everyone uses that, layered in on top. But in an era of so many programmed drums, like, to be able to work with a producer who is as good as he is at capturing drums and get like real shells and real cymbals and like the nuance of that. I mean, it's, even with the best sampled kits, you can usually, like, there's something a little bit off about the cymbals in particular a lot of times, especially if it's like a local who's just 127ing everything on the velocity.
Yeah.
But you can hear on this record where like Taylor hits the bell, one time and it has like a certain ding, and then the next time, like, there's a slight alteration because it's real. Like, there's just it sounds like a real drum kit. But yeah.
Nice.
It definitely does make a difference.
Yeah.
I like, when I program my parts, I still like write them. I write them out on Guitar Pro, and then so it's something that I'm actually gonna play instead of just being like guitarist program drums. Our guitarist, like, when he writes this stuff, he does program some drums, and then I'm like, I can't fucking play
that. I only have 2 arms.
Yeah,
it's the classic guitarist programming drums.
It's just like,
I was gonna say,
I can't play 30-second notes at 140 beats.
It's like, I also can't hit 3 cymbals simultaneously.
Yeah, he's not that bad. I'll give him some credit. He's gotten better too. But sometimes I'm just like, oh.
Well, but also you've like you were saying earlier, you've really been playing drums only for like 3 years now. So I think in like another 2 years you can play 30-second notes at like 200 beats per minute.
Just like fart noises.
That is pretty impressive to go from, like, not playing a drum kit and then go into playing in 2 bands and stuff in
he's playing
3 years.
Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah.
Like
it's not like you're playing easy stuff either. It's like pocket 4/4 stuff or anything that's like, it's pretty intense.
Like you were talking about earlier, your groove in the second verse of Threshold. After we got the EP finished, John sent over all the stems for the EP, and so we just I can listen to those drums or any instrument on the EP just in solo. That is insanity. I cannot wrap my mind around some of the things that you do. So kudos.
He's a good lad.
He's a good lad.
Decrease the average age of the band.
He decreases the average age. Yeah.
You did that by quite a lot, actually, because our buddy Tucker, he's about 10-15 years older than Caleb and I. So the average age of that band was like 38, 39, 40, somewhere around in there, whereas Taylor, you're 24, so the average age would be somewhere around 27. So Jack the Elbow like gained 12 years of life just by Taylor joining
refresh
the
button.
band. I mean, we're basically me and Caleb, we're young and in our 20s again.
Yeah,
that's
we're
great.
20. Well, I just turned 20.
Yeah, he just turned.
I'm
20.
actually 19.
Jeremiah's in Caleb's side project now, but Jeremiah, when he first saw you, Caleb, he was like, is your guitarist 23 or 32?
That's funny.
That is funny.
I was like, I'm pretty
He's
sure
30. He's 33.
Yeah.
Both Caleb and I are 33. Yeah.
Same age. Like,
Hell yeah.
It's
It's
a good
the right age.
Strong
It's
age.
the right strong
It's the
age.
right age.
Strong age.
Good age.
33.
The correct age.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, another thing about Taylor coming from because like you said, you've been on kit 3 years basically.
Yeah.
But coming from a strong like percussion background, doing doing a lot of like really wild proggy stuff with weird time signature changes. That all kind of you do that in like not just what's the word, percussion ensemble music in particular has a ton of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely has helped, where it's easy to just come in and be like, oh, like I can see that this is 11 and this is 6 and this is 3, and they're kind of blended together, and we don't have to like, because a lot of drums is by feeling, and by just kind of pocket grooving, especially if you're just playing with a local band. So it can be confusing when you start adding in a bunch of wild stuff, but he can count that stuff out and figure it out pretty quick, so it works out.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful to have sort of a music background, or just, music theory in any capacity to like understand that type of stuff when
Yeah,
you're writing
yeah.
music like that. So
Yeah,
I'm sure that was very helpful for sure. I guess we're going to transition a little bit to kind of more personal stuff on the side, in the sense of like what bands or artists you guys listen to right now. Like what's kind of the vibe right now? What have you guys been listening to? We like to ask that question sort of to everybody we interview, just because one, it helps us discover new music. That was one of the reasons why we kind of started this podcast in the first place, was selfishly, it's like, oh, let's like, discover new music and be able to just bullshit about music and send it out to the void, and maybe someone will listen. But now it's sort of evolved also into like helping the people that listen to this podcast discover new music, help them discover Jack the Elbow, but then also what's Jack the Elbow listening to. So just curious, what are you guys listening to lately?
I'll throw out two. I was struggling to think earlier, but two that I have enjoyed. One is our friends that I have to shout out, Empire Springs from Birmingham. They are dropping an EP is it 6 tracks? 6 tracks over the course of like from last summer to now. And then I think they're going to eventually, kind of like what we did, put it all out as like a one thing. I say kind of like what we did. They've had it and planned it out before we finished ours. So we're really kind of doing what they did. But that being said, they're amazing. If you have never listened to them, which I know you guys have talked about them a bit as well.
But love Empire Springs for sure. Definitely check them out. If
and
you're
then a band that we played with last year that just came to mind that I think some people would enjoy is Space Weather. We played with them last April at a little show in Birmingham.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Those are our boys.
Oh, you know them? Okay. Oh, they're from kind of the same area, aren't they?
Yeah.
I forget that they're from there. So them and another band called With Sails Ahead. I don't know you.
Oh yeah.
So they were doing like a tour around the country.
That's
so we
awesome.
played with them. Unfortunately, it was it a weeknight?
It was a weeknight.
It was like a weeknight in Birmingham, and there was like who was it across the street at Avondale? Some huge act. I can't remember who it was. Anyway, it was basically like everybody in the bands and like 2 13-year-old kids were there for a little while, and like the sound person. That was pretty much it. But it was still a lot of fun, and I loved their music, especially if you like kind of post-hardcore vibes and the guitars with like
very swan-core-y,
very swan-core. I really like them a lot. His vocals remind me of the Bee Gees a little bit, like in a good way. I mean, I like Bee Gees, but it's like really high kind of head voice falsetto-y with like this really crazy swan core. So shout out to them as well.
Shout out Space
That's
Weather.
funny, man. This is a small world.
Small world. Yep.
I was gonna say we were just at BT Bam with some of those guys.
For real. Oh, that's crazy. I wish BT Bam was coming closer to us. I just couldn't make the drive. The closest was like 7 hours, and I didn't want to do it. I had some friends from other bands that made the drive and like stayed the night. And Coma is like one of my favorite records of all time.
Such a good record.
I'm not even like a big BT Bam fan. I don't listen to a lot of them. I listen to Coma like a mother, though. I mean, I listen to it a lot.
It's so good.
Yeah, great record. Very underrated record. I feel like it got a lot of like controversy from the sort of
another one that
deathcore metal elitists that like felt like Alaska was prime BT Bam.
That going back to what we'd said earlier about Altered State and some of what I've just seen online of some Tesseract fans that literally just hate it. Was it Ashton? Was his name?
Ash. Yeah.
Literally hated Ash's vocals, and yet to me it's like I mean, no offense to Tesseract, their other stuff's cool too, but like that album is on a different level.
It's
I mean,
so
Yeah.
good.
it's totally
Yeah.
different, and it's so good. And his vocals are partly what make it. I'm so sorry to those people.
Yeah. He's got another band too,
Does
called
he really?
Voices from the Fuselage.
Okay.
It's not as good as Altered State.
Yeah.
I just feel like the rest of Tesseract, like plus his vocals, really make that record.
So good.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
perfect combo.
But it is still good. So something that if you're looking to scratch that vocal itch,
Yeah,
Voices from the Fuselage is.
Do any of them have like a really British chin?
I haven't like really examined the chins. But
okay.
I'll go.
We'll report
That's a
back on the
sticking-
chin
it's
situation.
kind of a sticking point
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, we'll report back on the chins.
I only
We'll,
listen to
okay,
music with
we'll
British
follow up.
chins.
I feel like that guy's name was Nigel. I mean, it wasn't, but like it
But
it
should have
has
been.
to be.
It
that.
should have
Like,
been.
it has
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
Nigel.
I like it.
100%.
I need to see a picture of like.
He's probably gonna be
There's
like
the
you're
bass
gonna
player?
find him and be like, this is nothing. Yeah, I'm sure that it's not gonna look at all, and I'm just gonna look like an idiot. But you had to be there. You had to be there.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. His name's
see it?
Amos, by the way.
Okay, Amos
Amos
is pretty,
Williams.
I guess it's pretty Williams.
Yeah.
Williams is pretty British.
Fairly British, yeah.
So
Fairly
I can
British.
see what you're saying. I can get behind it. I can get behind
got the Nigel
British
vibes?
chin. Yeah. I
Yeah.
get the Nigel vibes.
On the same vein of shouting out bands that we have played with, we have already mentioned that we're playing with Sound and Shape on Saturday. Very cool band. Looking forward to playing with them again. We played one show with them last year at Trim Tab, not True Story, Trim Tab. At that same show last year, we also played with a band called The Welcoming out of Asheville, North Carolina, and they were very enjoyable. Really enjoyed their set. They also had nowhere to stay that night, and they ended up crashing on my couch and did
Nice.
not beat or rob me, which they could have done. There was 5 of them, and it was one of me. And they were just the coolest guys who make very good music. It was a good set. We definitely complemented each other musically very well. Also on the line of The Welcoming, at that show last year, I was playing around during our sound check and doodling on Schism just a little bit, and James, their guitarist, he's their guitarist, he just jumps up on the drum kit and starts playing Schism with me, and I was like, you are a brother. You will always be a brother to me. I love you
Bonded
dearly.
for life now.
Bonded for life.
Did he get the matching tattoo on the chest?
He needs to get a little lateralis eye on the chest.
He can get on his back for like spooning. The way they met.
That's incredible.
Meet each other.
That's incredible. An album that I used to listen to a lot and kind of forgot about, and now I've rediscovered it, and God, it's so good, is Semaphore by Black Orchid Empire. I love that album so much. I can't remember how I discovered it. I think I just discovered it on like a Spotify algorithm, and it just hits. Another album that I really enjoy is The Usual Routine by Port Noir. That was another Spotify algorithm album. The bass on that album is very good. Anything that's bass driven, clearly as a bassist, is just right up my album. And then aside from that, I've been listening to Sound Awake for like the last 8 years.
Yeah, same.
Or
no, even longer than that. Probably more like 10 or 12.
Yeah. So good.
Literally from the day that I discovered that album, I've probably listened to it a solid like 100 times a year.
It's
pretty
just so good.
easily.
I think it is It just there's no production flaw in that album. I don't know where it is. If I usually have like very annoying ears for stuff and like I don't like that because me. That's like me. I love that album. I don't hear anything wrong with it. It's just so freaking good.
Are they releasing any new music? Like I feel like
Ah,
they released like a
Yes.
single or something, right? Like
So
like
they released
3 years ago.
they released a single. It looks like that they actually like I have gotten. I'm just gonna be so for real. And if any of the carnival guys in Australia are listening to this right
Oh,
now,
they're all listening.
I'm talking to
all
you
I'm
right now.
saying
I
is
have gotten
our second biggest listening base is Australia. We've
that
charted in Australia.
yeah.
that would make so much sense
Hell yeah.
because there's such a thriving prog scene in
It
Australia.
really
Yeah.
is. It's nuts.
Really is.
So I'm speaking directly to Ian Kinney right now. I have gotten my hopes up and had them my heart broken many times about New Carnival and but this time it feels real.
Feels real, Ian.
They just announced a new tour. They just announced a new tour and in the announcement of the new tour that they posted on their Instagram page, they had a snippet of some new music. And it sounds so insane. And they've also posted recently that they've spent the last like 5-6 months in the studio. I think if I'm understanding it correctly, they're working with Forrester Savell again. I want to say that they, if I'm not mistaken, I think they worked with a different producer on Asymmetry. It looks very real. I wish if I had any wish in the world that could come true, I wish that I could buy a plane ticket to Australia to see these guys play. And if there was any band on my bucket list to see, I would absolutely die to see Carnival live.
Yeah.
Whether that means me going to Australia or if they could come to the United States, that would also be very cool.
Yeah. New world tour announced. We're going to Prague.
We're going
to
Europe
Hungary.
again.
Not going to the US.
I love them so much. Other Cog is another Australian prog band that comes to mind. I can't remember what the album is that I listen to so much from them, but one of their albums is just so good. That's another Australian prog that I really
Caligula's Horse.
Caligula's Horse.
Yeah.
Their last album to me like had almost Sound Awake level production, just super amazing sound.
It's so good.
But I just didn't. I only listened to it like twice, and it's a very it's a much more dense kind of album, much more progressive through composition-y 10-minute song kind of vibe. So I just haven't been able to give it the time that I would have liked to have given it. But I mean, the first listen through was incredible for sure. And I'm going to interject 2 songs. I know Taylor's got to share his as well, but 2 bands that I had to look up just now on my phone. Very rudely, sorry about that, but that's what he's doing too. Yeah, we're not texting, we're looking up people. But two bands that I got to throw out. One is there's an Atlanta-based technical death metal. So if you like tech death band that also tracked with the same guy that we've tracked with, and they're phenomenal, called Planetary Ghost. They've done like 3 or 4 tracks, and they've been putting them out. Super cool. Their drummer is ridiculous. I'm talking like and can just do it. And their guitarist is also ridiculous. They're all ridiculous, and their bassist, they're all ridiculous. So if you like tech death, harsh vocals, all that, I hope that they will also release instrumentals as well, because their instrumentals rock. I mean, the whole thing rocks, but they're doing crazy stuff in their in the movement of the instrument. So if you're into that sort of thing, which if you're listening to progressive Djentlemen, there's a fair chance that you are into that. Planetary Ghost rocks. Another kind of tech death band that I found last year that just blew my mind, and they've only put out like 2 songs, and they don't have a lot of listeners, so everybody go listen, is Foreverless. All is one word, Foreverless. And they have a song called Beyond the Emptiness, I think is what it is. Let me double check that right there. Beyond Make sure I'm not messing that up. Yes. Let me make sure this is the right song that I'm thinking of. Yeah, this song rips, dude. Yeah. So Beyond the Emptiness and well, so I'm sorry. This is also weird. I just had to make sure I have the right song. Both
No,
their
you're
songs.
good.
They hit these moments where if you were like a fan of 2000s metalcore, so it's like tech death, and then suddenly it'll just hit you with this like, if you were into 2000s metalcore, it'll just hit you like, it makes you want to punch a baby in the face. It's so good. This pre-chorus to one of the songs in particular has this moment that it sends me right back, but in like the best way, and not in like a way that sounds like they're outdated or anything. It just sounds like they're able to sneak some of that influence and idea into kind of a tech death vibe. I think they're amazing as well. Hoping that they get to put out some more stuff as well. Foreverless. So,
Nice.
Right
Check
before I
them out.
turn this over to Taylor, the Cog album that I was referencing was Sharing Space.
Sweet.
I love that album. It is a very politically charged album.
oh,
I don't
yeah.
know what I don't know what the political like air was in Australia in like,
He's
I think it's
passionate
like
about it, though.
2009 or 2010. This guy's pissed about
He's
it.
pissed.
But it's still an absolutely fantastic album. I don't think I've taken the time to listen to any more Cog albums apart from that, and I should, because I very much enjoyed that album.
Nice.
I'm just sitting here like, because I listened to so many albums throughout the day. I'm scrolling through. My favorite album that I've been listening to lately is Umbilical by Thou. Like sludge metal.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
nice.
I forgot to like at them in one of my favorite shows I've been to. Dude, they're crazy. Their vocalist goes into a trance during one of their songs and just like stands with the mic cord in his mouth. This shit's crazy. Also, The Dark Pool by Thornhill.
Thornhill, yeah.
Bodies, their new album is really good. I've become like a pretty big Thornhill fan lately.
Yeah,
And
Thornhill's sick.
Periphery 3 is another album that I'm a fan of. So kind of a diverse musical palette.
P3 over P2.
Depends on the day.
Fair enough.
I would say like I've listened to more P3 than P2, but I mean they're both really good.
Fair enough.
They don't have a bad album.
That's
Yeah,
true. I can agree with that.
Yeah. There was a while where I was like, I think I kind of like stopped listening to Periphery and like around the Clear album, and I was like, oh, I don't really like this one. And then I've come back, I'm like, why did I not like this album? And it's like when I came back and listened to it again, I was like, I was dumb. But yeah, I agree. I think all Periphery albums are pretty great.
I love P1, and like the vocals are delivered so radically differently, I know, and but it's just, I love it too, you know. Some of those moments are just really nice, even with like the production being more kind of self-produced vibe, a little more home vibe. It still rips.
I also discovered Foxing like literally today.
Okay.
Foxing's good.
Foxing?
I've listened to it a little bit.
I saw Foxing open for Coheed and Cambria once.
I think that's probably where I've seen them. Yeah.
I was like, I'm a big fan of the Albatross. I heard that for the first time today, and I was like, chills.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Speaking of Coheed and Cambria,
One more time.
If anyone has any connections,
Never heard of them before.
just let us open for you guys. Like, we sound just like, come on, Claudio.
Yeah,
like, do you listen to this? Come on,
Honestly.
guys. Hit us up.
Please.
Come on.
I'm gonna make an attempt to get Travis on at some point, because it seems like he does some podcast stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Claudio does also, but I mean,
We'll put a good
I've
word in for you if we get.
yeah.
You
So
gotta-
if that happens,
You would
I'm
make
definitely gonna.
my dreams come true if you mentioned, if you
definitely
said the
put you
word Jack
guys-
the Elbow to either one of those characters. I would be like,
I will. 100% if we get either of them on this show.
That would be
we'll,
crazy.
Definitely be like, hey, you guys ever hear this band that sounds just like you? Just kidding. I'm just
No,
kidding.
we have
But no, I'm
friends
not
that-
kidding about the pitching it to them part because I feel
No,
like
that would rock.
because like even some of his like if it was Travis who I think is the more realistic get, he has that side project. What the heck is it called?
LS Dunes?
Not LS Dunes, the
Circus
other
Survive.
one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not
Never mind.
Yeah. What
He's
the
got
hell
so
is it
many
called?
side projects.
He does. He's got like an indie like rock project, Davenport Cabinet. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Okay.
That I almost think like sometimes also sounds similar to some of the stuff. Not like it's like I feel like he would relate to your music pretty well. Like I think it's something
Yeah.
he would vibe with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if that ever happens, definitely gonna shout you guys out.
That would rock.
But yeah, I think I mean we've also like we've done the whole meet and greet thing with them too. I might just slip them like, hey, check this out.
Yeah, you slip him a 20 and
Hey,
like
check this
fold it
out.
up now.
And a digital copy of
Yeah, we were
Intensives.
yeah. I was at Coheed in Huntsville like, oh gosh, 3 weeks ago, and our buddy Brett, who's the singer for Empire Springs and bass player, he was there as well, and so he sent a like picture of the concert to like this group chat on Discord that we're all in together, and he was like, "Is anybody going to the Jack the Elbow cover band?" It's definitely like a running theme.
I'm
like,
glad that
we
it's
all
just
joke
become
about it.
like just like a big like meme.
Oh, yeah.
Ish
It's a
joke.
big meme.
Like, yeah,
It's a big meme. Yeah.
Oh man.
love it.
Well, I guess to kind of wrap up, we just kind of want to put the ball in your guys' court. Tell the people listening, whatever it is you want to tell them, whether it's where they can find you on social media, where they can buy your merch, where they can, and anything basically that you want, like last message to be kind of to anybody listening to this.
Sure. Well, we're most active on Instagram. I mean, we're on pretty much every social media, but as far as like organic reach, Instagram has definitely been like the most kind to us.
Yeah.
Aside from making music, we also make just hilarious content on Instagram. If I'm tooting our own horn, we are also just funny as all hell.
Yeah, we're the best. We're actually the best. Definitely
but-
follow us at Jack the Elbow. That is a nice
at
thing
Jack
about a
the
weird
Elbow.
name is you don't have to do like the XX or like from Birmingham or any of the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
You just say
at
Jack the Elbow.
At Jack the Elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have merch in person. So if anybody's in Australia and wants to come to Birmingham, Alabama, we have shirts. Or
yeah.
message us on Instagram.
We will ship this
and
to
we
you.
will ship this to you anywhere in the world. Just to know that
Someone's repping,
in another country is wearing a Jack the Elbow shirt.
We're on all streaming platforms. So
We're on
Spotify,
all streaming platforms.
all of them. Jack the Elbow. Check out Intensives. It is out.
It literally
It
just
came out yesterday, maybe.
Mhm.
Probably came out yesterday. It has like a little golden. It looks like a zodiac sign. That's not what we meant for it to be. But it's got a little golden circle cross on it. So if you're into serial killers and you want to think of it as a zodiac sign and not like a Navajo blessing, or I'm sorry, Apache blessing written in pollen, then you could think of it that way. That's fine. It's whatever toots your horn, whatever gets you to listen to Intensives by Jack the Elbow on all streaming platforms. Do that.
And I mean, we love y'all. We love y'all, and we want to meet y'all, and we want to play music for you one day. And we want to continue to making music. And whoever you are who likes this music, we want to find you. Wow, I'm not really helping my case with the serial
We
killer.
want to find you. We want to bind your hands with music. It is like metaphorically.
All right,
metaphorically.
I guess what I'm saying with that is that being a progressive rock band, yeah, especially in a scene that has not been the most kind to not just progressive rock music, but other genres of music, we have struggled in the past to find our audience. So if you listen to intensives and you enjoy this, then that makes my heart so happy. We're very eager to find the audience for this music and continue creating this music for you.
Yeah, we're also very DMable, so hit us up.
We are
Shoot us a
DMable.
message.
We would love to talk to you.
Yeah.
And we have a Discord.
And we have a
Discord.
Hit
Yeah.
us, DM us, and we'll send you a link. You can be part of the Jack Club.
Yeah,
Which,
you
yeah. It's not what it sounds like. Yeah.
You're gonna get all the wrong requests.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to hire a moderator.
Yeah. There are certain rules in the Jack Club.
You don't talk about
Don't
the
talk
Jack
about the
Club.
Jack Club. That's number one.
Oh,
shit.
have an open mind.
Oh man. Well, on
That's
that note, Jack the Elbow, thank you guys so much for jumping on with us,
Yeah,
and for
thanks,
everyone
guys.
listening.
Thank you for having
The
us.
EP intensives out everywhere now, streaming on all platforms. Definitely give it a listen if you like it. Follow these guys, reach out to these guys, buy their merch when it's on sale, stream the shit out of this album, and let's get these guys out there. We really like this music. We think that you're gonna like it as well. So go give it a listen. We're gonna tag all their socials and stuff on our page as well to try to make it a little easier to find it for you guys listening. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for jumping on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you for having us.
Thank y'all so much.
And until next time, we'll see you guys later.